Marshall game canceled on September 15th due to Hurricane Florence. So this is the makeup game. And just a moment ago, Terry Bowden was with Don Davenport.
Well, Coach Bowden, it's been 21 years since you've been the head coach of a team that's played in this stadium. What's it like to be back at Williams-Brice with this group of kids?
Well, it's a great venue and a great place to play. The odds are against us today, but our kids are excited about playing a game like this, a team like this, and a place like this. It's an ugly day, but that's kind of a turnover weather kind of day, and maybe that's an upset weather kind of day.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Taylor Cole, back to you guys. I tell you what, this coach is very familiar with Coach Muschamp. He gave him his first gig in coaching back 23 years ago as a GA at Auburn.
That's right, running against Cole Kublik that year and those Auburn Tigers as Rico Dowdle takes the first snap of the game, and it's a first down run for the Gamecocks.
Interesting to see this run game if they can get it going here today, Taylor. Obviously, Coach McClendon has gotten away from it at times, but I think they want to try to establish the run, establish the ground game early.
Rico with just over 547 yards rushing this season. Quick pass to Deebo Samuel. Last time in Williams-Brice Stadium, and there he is once again breaking tackles. Taking that pass from Jake Bentley. First to ever throw for over 500 yards in a game. Did that last week against Clemson.
He looked phenomenal in that game last week against Clemson, changing the arm angles, moving around the pocket, very accurate, came up with some huge plays.
It was a gain of 3 for Samuel. Fifth-year senior from Inman, South Carolina, and in pistol set, it's back to the ground, and up to the 45-yard line goes Mondenson for a pickup of 6 as they have shuffled through some tailbacks all season. Cole, one of them, though, A.J. Turner, has moved the defense due to injuries.
So intriguing to talk to Will Muschamp and T-Rob, the defensive coordinator for the Gamecocks, about what he might look like on that side of the ball today, but depth at running back is what has allowed that move.
So Rico the first carry, Mondenson the second carry. Dowdle back in the game, but it's a flip to Deebo Samuel, and Samuel, as always, shows off that athleticism, getting into Akron territory for 10.
They've had a lot of success with these perimeter runs this year, and you'll see Deebo Samuel actually a pass, a little push pass from Jake Bentley, but it just widens the defense out, forces those defensive ends to play outside of your tackles a little bit more. That will then open up, hopefully, the run game in between the tackles a little bit later.
And look at those numbers as he has a chance to move even up further on the charts today. That last catch he made against Clemson last week at the end of the game personified the kind of effort and attitude that he's displayed all season. Rico Dowdle doesn't get much there. In fact, no gain. Ulysses Gilbert on the tackle for the Zip, second down.
Yeah, kind of a little trap play there. You block the center back, pull the backside guard around, but still keep it between the tackles.
Ryan Edwards has no place to go either. Gilbert's there again, third down.
This is an interesting part of this team today that I'm anxious to see, Taylor, and that is tempo and pace. How much does South Carolina go with? They need to protect that defense. We're going to talk a lot about how many freshmen on that side of the football, guys that have never played, guys starting in positions they've never played. I don't expect South Carolina to go too fast over the course of this game.
It is the 37th straight game that Edwards has caught a pass in, passing Alshon Jeffrey, second all time. Bentley scrambles out as nothing is open, might pick up a yard. So after the Gamecocks had positive play after positive play, 3 nice stops in a row for that Zip defense.
Single safety defense, so you drop one safety deep in the middle of the field, and Jake Bentley just could not find an open receiver. The protection pretty good up front by that South Carolina offensive line.
Joe Charlton has the best average for a career in school history at 44.4. It's even better than that, as you saw this season. He'll try to pin the Zips deep. Fair catch will be made at the 14-yard line by Jeremiah Knight. Cato Nelson, the sophomore from Hollywood, Florida, at quarterback today for the Zips, coming off his best performance.
I'll tell you what, you go put the film on against that Ohio Bobcat team last week. Cato Nelson was throwing darts, fitting some balls in some extremely tight windows, making throws on the move, having to get outside of the pocket. I thought he looked as good as I've seen him against the Bobcats last week. He's got a very accurate arm. Talked to Travaris Robinson, the South Carolina defensive coordinator, before the game, and he said he recruited him in high school. He knows how good he is.
Nelson underneath pass is caught by Jonah Morris. But nice tackle made by Izzy Mukwamu. Had a nice game last week against Clemson, loss of 1.
Mukwamu, the third corner today, a guy that's going to rotate between safety and corner probably for the rest of his South Carolina career. Nice job coming up, making that one-on-one tackle in space.
And Mukwamu had no fear in that game, talking to those big Clemson receivers for 4 quarters. Nelson has time again, throws to the sideline, incomplete. Looking for Morris, 3rd down.
Nixon on the coverage there, and so far good protection up front by this Akron offensive line. And it's an area that South Carolina has moved a lot of different bodies around. We see Javon Kinlaw in the game at defensive tackle. He was questionable coming into this game, hasn't practiced much the past 2 weeks. They're going to still have to win some one-on-ones up front, Taylor, to try to disrupt the pocket.
Pressure, down he goes. J.J. Enigbari was the first one to him. Shamik Blackshear in there as well, and the Gamecock defense looks terrific. Their first time out.
Going to get a twist right here, Taylor, in the middle of that South Carolina defensive line, and that's what's going to free up the pressure. Back steps up, tries to help out a little bit, but Deltron Sands can't get enough on the twisting South Carolina defensive tackle. That leads to the sack.
So Nick Gasser 8 yards deep in his own end zone. We'll punt to Brian Edwards, who's standing near midfield. Rain coming down, and this will hop at the 40. Edwards picks it up at the 49. Switches position on the field and is inside the 30, back to the 29. So that's a 20-yard return after a 42-yard punt.
Big sack for South Carolina. Blackshear pressure from the left side. Twist in the middle leads to the turnover on downs.
This is like a Kubelik practice regimen. Up, down, up, down. Gamecocks all year, wins and losses. Starting the season 3-3. Beat Mizzou in a driving hailstorm. Lost to the Aggies the following week. 1-2 in a row for the first time all season in November. Then, of course, last week, lost to the Clemson Tigers, 56-35, although Jake Bentley did have the best performance of his career statistically. He's got a short field to work with. Hands it to Rico Dowdle down to the 22-yard line. Will Muschamp is 21-16. Now, that's the same record Steve Spurrier had in his first 3 seasons. So if Muschamp wins today, that's more wins than anyone's ever had in their first 3 seasons in Columbia. First down, Dowdle.
I think Will Muschamp's done an excellent job, and that new football facility across the street is going to help out with recruiting. He's kept his staff in place. Staff continuity is here. He made a change at offensive coordinator last year when needed to, but I like the future of Gamecock football.
Brian McClendon going quickly, calling these plays, and he designs this one to Samuel for a touchdown. 15 yards. Deebo Samuel in his final game in Columbia, back in the end zone.
So far, 4 run plays, 1 pass play on first down for the Gamecocks. I love the commitment to the run game. Even if it's going to be Deebo Samuel, why not feed one of the greatest players in school history here in his farewell song at Williams-Brice?
Responsible for 28 touchdowns in his brilliant career, and the extra point by Parker White is good. He is now 8th all-time in receptions, as technically that will count as a pass, but he shows off the wheels once more. Gamecocks on top.
Breaks a tackle, and Deebo is gone! And it's pulled in for the touchdown by Samuel.
Trying to fit it in back corner.
Got it! Deebo all the way to the end zone, 100 yards!
Did he make that catch? You're kidding me.
He just makes plays all over the field.
He's responsible for 28 touchdowns, 15 receiving, 7 rushing, 4 kick returns, and threw 2 touchdown passes to Brian Edwards. And for more on Debo, we go down to Dawn.
Yeah, Coach Muschamp was talking to us about his draft stock, all the skills that Debo Samuel can bring to the next level. I thought he made a great point, though, when he talked about the value that he can bring an NFL team. Because of his versatility, he can be a kick returner, gunner, play outside, catch balls in the slot. South Carolina has used him in a bunch of different ways, and Muschamp said he's going to be a good pro for an NFL team.
He's been so valuable for this football team. He's opened things up for guys like Brian Edwards to be able to have the kind of career he did. Hayden Hurst a year ago. He brings a lot of attention.
On the ground for the Zips for the first time, and it's Jamarlin Suggs, a freshman from Akron, who's ahead to the 29-yard line. As the Zips are 4-7 on the season. They do have a huge win, though. They knocked off the Northwestern Wildcats in Evanston. Of course, Northwestern's playing for the Big Ten title tonight.
First time since the 1800s that Akron knocks off a Big Ten football team. And I feel like Terry Bowden has sold this game the right way to his ball club. He knows they're not going to go bowling, but this could be one that puts a big exclamation point on this particular season. 5
season-ending injuries, all to contributors. And again, it's Suggs on the ground, and he's right at the first down sticks.
T.J. Brunson getting that start at Sam linebacker tonight, making the tackle. A little zone play for Akron, trying to get the run game going. Don't want to lift too much through the air. You heard Terry Bowden mention before the game, the rain may decide some things. He told Don and I down on the field before this, he said, if this rain keeps going, I feel like it benefits us. I like it. Ball's a little more slippery. They maybe lose some focus. He said, I want it to rain as much as possible.
You did a great job of braving the elements. I only made a brief appearance down there before the game, as this one's caught by Quadarius Smith. And Smith has a first down catch up to the 48-yard line for 13 more.
These are the kind of throws from Cato Nelson that he makes. The accuracy here. High and outside, doesn't give the defender a chance to come up and make a play. DB a little bit late on that slant. Nice throw and catch.
Smith, the senior from Orlando, Florida. Gamecocks with all those defensive injuries to deal with today, and it's Nelson taking off on an RPO into South Carolina territory ahead to the 44-yard line.
Well, a lot of times, Taylor, with read plays, with RPOs, with option plays, new faces on the field can give you a problem. And how about the youngsters on defense for South Carolina today? Belk, Gibson, Jones, Lewis, a lot of freshmen going to be on this field. Now, that says a lot for the future of Gamecock football, but as for today, really have to simplify that plan against this Akron offense.
Not just freshmen, true freshmen. I mean, some guys that would have been redshirted this year. And it's Suggs again. And he has a first down for the Zips.
I talked to a couple position coaches on this South Carolina defensive staff before the game, and I said, tell me about some of these young guys who can be in this game. And I had a few of them say, I don't know. They've been on the scout team all year. We haven't been coaching them that much. I don't see them in a lot of live action. So this staff will learn a lot about these players today, just like we will.
Nelson, quick pass, but Suggs drops it. And again, the weather a factor is it started raining today about 9 a.m. local time, and it's never stopped. It's kind of been just a consistent rain that has fallen today at Williams-Brice.
Well, I tell you what, you want to see the value of Javon Kinlaw, a gigantic bull rush to the middle of that defensive line for the South Carolina Gamecock defense on that last play. He collapsed the pocket all by himself.
Lost 40 pounds since his sophomore season. Suggs might have gotten a yard there. Sherrod Green, sophomore linebacker, makes the tackle. It's third down.
And this is where we go back, Taylor, to one-on-one matchups up front for the South Carolina defense. Who can generate that pass rush for you? No DJ Wanham in the lineup. It's going to have to come inside from a Kinlaw.
Looks like Andrea Bullard is hurt. The right tackle is writhing in pain there.
Yeah, they're going to stop the game, try to get him out.
Just could not get set on the line, and will make his way to the sidelines. We'll take a timeout too in just a moment. Gamecocks on top, but Akron driving. Well, we said it on September 15th. Akron went to Northwestern and pulled off a historic upset. Zips are down 21-3 at the break, but poured on 36 points off 244 yards in the second half. That fourth quarter fumble you just saw, 50-yard interception return for a touchdown. Zips had a 39-28 lead. Hail Mary last-second attempt fails for Northwestern, and Akron has their first ever win over a Big Ten opponent.
Couple of big injuries in the middle of the season really kept this team from being what Terry Bowden believed that they could.
They get near the 30. On this 3rd and 10, Nelson throws a strike inside the 27-yard line, caught by Michael Traylor Bennett. First down, Zips.
What about the pocket presence here from Cato Nelson? Watch a little pressure from the left side, steps up, and again, a strike right on the money. He's putting that thing on that inside number just below the shoulder pads. Excellent throw, especially in this rain.
You see it's the 9th play of this drive after that 13-yard completion. Now it's Suggs, and he'll bulldoze his way to the 25-yard line for 2 more.
I'm not sure if Suggs maybe bounces this ball back a little bit early. There was a good push on the left side of that offensive line. He decides to cut right, maybe too early there. Give the left side of his offensive line some credit. They got the push.
See TJ Brunson, he was ready to make a charge at Nelson, but Nelson still has plenty left on the play clock. Ten minutes into the first quarter. Nelson, delayed takeoff, but too late. As he's trapped in the backfield, it'll be 3rd down after Brad Johnson got him.
Nice awareness from Brad Johnson. Left side of your screen. Watch him come upfield and then redirect back inside. Good hand placement on the inside of the left tackle. Knows when to disconnect and go make the sack. Excellent play.
Of course, that's DJ Wanham's position, as DJ battled injuries most of the season. Nelson, one-on-one ball, home run try. Incomplete. Quadarius Smith thinks he had it.
Boy, either way, Taylor, what a throw. Rashad Finn is on coverage here for South Carolina. Nelson's going to step up and deliver again. Just another perfect ball. Receiver must survive the ground. You see that ball pop out a little bit late. Even if he has possession on the way down, as it appears that he does, that ball never really possessed to begin with. So surviving the ground doesn't even really become an option.
And now a 45-yard field goal try by Nick Gasser is through, as Gasser puts the Zips on the board for the first time today. South Carolina leads 7-3 back in 60 seconds. Cole told you that the man on the left gave the man on the right his start in coaching back in the mid-90s for the Auburn Tigers. And here's the 1996 team photo. Jimbo Fisher's in there too. Muschamp in the back, Bowden in the middle, and how about over there on the right? Young, spry, still hairless Cole Kublik.
Well, you got brother Oliver right there. You got Jimmy Brumbaugh, who's the defensive line coach at Maryland, somewhere in here, trying to find him. You got a Damian Craig, who's an assistant coach at Texas A&M in there. So a lot of coaching prominence on that 96 Auburn football team.
This man has 4 career kick returns, and he wanted to bring another out. Debo gets past the 25-yard line. It's where the Gamecocks will start. Sunday at 6 Eastern, we'll have our two-hour annual SEC Now Bowl special and look at the 11 SEC teams playing in a bowl game, including the Gamecocks. Get a complete breakdown like only the SEC Now team can provide. It's also available live on the ESPN app. Gamecocks might be headed 90 miles north to Charlotte if they win this game today. I've seen some ESPN Bowl projections that have the Gamecocks playing the Virginia Cavaliers on December 29th, 4 weeks from today. Dowdle up to the 32-yard line for 3.
Think back to that 96 staff. Jimbo Fisher was the quarterback's coach, not even the offensive coordinator yet. He became the OC the next year. Will Muschamp, a graduate assistant. He ran the offensive scout team for that 1996 football team. So I was a redshirt freshman, so I spent a lot of time with Will. Got chewed out by Will a lot of times there. He always wanted more effort. It was just as intense back then as he is now. But a guy that was a lot of fun to be around. You knew he had a bright future, but interesting that he stepped away from a year. A lot of people don't know that. He went and sold wood for Yellowfella, and then comes back into coaching the following season.
Selling lumber, but got back in the business. Bentley has a man wide open. It's Brian Edwards inside the 30, and Edwards takes it to the house. 70 yards.
Boy, just a bust. Cover 2. Safety and slot corner just got a little bit confused there. Edwards runs wide open. Nice throw and catch there.
Bentley now has had 9 passes of over 50 yards in the last 5 games. Been great with the deep ball. And this time it's to Brian Edwards, who's now 5th all-time in South Carolina history in receiving, passing Robert Brooks.
Watch your corner and your safety. Edwards here, going to come out in the slot. Corner sits, safety goes back to the middle of the field, which was not his responsibility. Just a bust in coverage. And Jake Bentley has the wherewithal to notice it early. You see Edwards run right by the corner that sits. Safety has to pick up Edwards there at the second level. Jair Jacobs follows that play inside. Results in a touchdown for the South Carolina Gamecocks.
And Jake Bentley goes over 7,000 career passing yards with that throw.
It's going to be interesting to see. This was supposed to be the year for quarterbacks in the SEC. And you think about next year, Tua back at Alabama, Jake Fromm back at Georgia. How do they manage that situation? Obviously, with an elite backup behind him. Kellen Mond's going to be back at Texas A&M. We believe Jake Bentley's going to be back here in Columbia, South Carolina. Maybe next year is the year, the quarterback in the SEC.
Will Tommy's kick is fielded at the 5-yard line by Knight, and he's tripped up at the 18-yard line. All right, here's another great photo. Tell us about this after that game here at Williams-Brice in 1997.
Boy, that's pretty cool. That's my grandfather, Tom Kublik. Pop is what we knew him as. Got to play here as a redshirt freshman in 1997. I grew up going to games here. I went to more Carolina Clemson games than I did Alabama Auburn games growing up. I have a lot of family here in the Columbia area. My grandparents, my grandmother, his former wife still lives here in Columbia, South Carolina. Got to see her yesterday, so always cool when I get to come back to this area. That was a pretty cool experience to be able to play on this field in front of my family, including Pop there, as you saw him.
Auburn won 23-6 with Terry Bowden as the head coach that day. As Deshaun Brimage makes the catch for Akron at the 35-yard line. It's a pickup of 17.
We continue to see the accuracy from this Akron quarterback. Cato Nelson just really, really nice in the pocket.
He's had no trouble moving the football this season. And while the Zips didn't get in the red zone, Cole, on that last drive, they still had another drive in positive territory, stall and have to kick a field goal. And with South Carolina's offense today, they may need touchdowns. They might be headed towards one here. Quadarius Smith has the grab for 17 more.
This is a big-time read by Cato Nelson. He's reading the back of the defensive back's helmet. If he sees the back of the helmet, he's going to throw it to that back shoulder. Puts it right on the money. Excellent throw. And this is that chess game that the Akron offense is going to play. They've done it the majority of the game. They'll go fast, they'll get lined up, they'll look to the sideline, get a new play, and it also freezes the personnel grouping for the South Carolina defense.
Checks off one receiver, but one hops it to Jonah Morris. Second down, not so dissimilar to what South Carolina has employed on offense with Brian McClendon calling plays, at least giving the threat of going fast on every play.
Oh, you saw McClendon take it to the next level last week against Clemson, where they would come to the line of scrimmage, stop, look, and then go snap the football. So the Clemson defense wanted to adjust and wanted to shift and maybe make a change and get their call. Everybody wants to be the last move of that chess match. Everybody wants that last move. McClendon did a nice job of sort of changing it up last week against Clemson.
Suggs has a first down run, and he is inside the 35-yard line.
Suggs on the carry.
14 yards for the freshman from Akron. Now, I understand the disappointment for South Carolina fans losing to Clemson again, giving up 56 points. But you just put up 600 total yards against the #2 team in college football. So I know there are no moral victories, but one big positive that came out of that game was the way South Carolina is playing on offense at the moment. Nelson had that ball deflected. It's second down.
That's one thing that Lance Thompson really harps to this defensive line. The South Carolina defensive line coach is getting the hands up. They've worked on hand strength with Jeff Dillman, the strength coach, and the defensive line coach Lance Thompson has tried to get these guys to take away quick passing lanes. With the quick passing game becoming what it is today in college football, Will Muschamp told me he almost believes that an interior rush is becoming more valuable than the edge rushers that have made so much money for so long in the NFL.
Kinlaw getting that arm up there, deflecting that pass and setting up a second down, and then he's right there to clog the hole. Jay Brunson in there too. It's a loss of 1.
A nice job by Brunson shooting off the edge, and he's a young man that moved over from the Mike linebacker position, playing that buck linebacker position today, and that's what he's going to have to do. Not only set the edge and try to stretch runs out, but sometimes if he's not blocked, you attack, you penetrate, and hopefully make some plays in the backfield. We've seen a couple pressures from Travaris Robinson, the South Carolina defensive coordinator today. They don't do a lot of it. Showing one here, but Akron may let it die down.
Zips call their first timeout with 26 seconds left here in the first quarter. The SEC Now team will be back at 7 Eastern tonight to recap the SEC Championship. They'll have all the highlights, analysis, and interviews for the showdown between Georgia and Alabama. You can also see it streaming live on the ESPN app. To me, this is the question to ask, you especially. How does Georgia beat Alabama today?
Gonna have to score. Gonna have to score a lot. And I think Georgia can move the football. I think Georgia can put points up. Right guard is a position to watch. The middle, if you're going to beat Alabama, the middle three of your offensive line is going to have to play great football. And Lamar Galliard is a guy that can play good ball at center. They're fine with Solomon Kinley at left guard. But is their original right guard going to be back in Ben Cleveland, or is Cade Mays going to be back healthy, the guy who backed him up when he originally broke his leg? That position's got to be good. On defense, find a way to get pressure. Georgia last in the SEC in sacks.
South Carolina's been neck and neck with them, not pressuring the ball, but they've done a good job today, and they're calling this a live ball. Steven Montag picking it up, and he's down at the Zips 35-yard line.
Take a look at Nelson in the pocket. That's just a deflected pass.
It's clearly an incomplete pass as Kinlaw gets two deflections on the same drive. You would think they would easily be able to fix that up here. James Carter, today's referee.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete. Excuse me. Fourth down.
All right, so they, in fact, don't even need to come up here and make that change. So it's fourth down now for Akron, as both of their last two drives, which when into South Carolina territory, stall outside the red zone.
And you just got to find a way. We've seen Akron take a couple of shots, but at some point, Taylor, you got to mix in a little bit more of the run. You cannot ask Cato Nelson under these conditions to go out and throw the football 60, 55 times. I don't believe. And he's done a nice job when asked to, but when the field compresses a little bit, that's where you need the run game, and maybe it's going to be quarterback runs as they continue to cross the 50.
This is a Nick Gasser with a 52-yard attempt. Got one a moment ago, and this one hits the left upright.
I'm surprised settling for a field goal there. The way Terry Bowden talked to us about this game, he understands he's a heavy underdog. He understands that the rain might be something that helps. And you heard him tell Don before the game, hey, we might need a couple of turnovers. Maybe this weather leads to that, and that's what gets us the upset. Surprised we haven't seen Terry maybe take a few more chances early in this game. But obviously has confidence in his kicker for a reason. He's shown plenty of leg strength through the driving range.
Would have been Gasser's longest field goal of the season. It gives Carolina the football back at their own 35. With Mon Denson standing next to Bentley. Bentley looks the other way, though, and it's incomplete. It's the first incompletion he's had, looking for Brian Edwards.
I think batted at the line of scrimmage. Brock Boxen gets a ball up, knocks that football down. Jake Bentley has just been extremely hot here the last few weeks.
97 yards passing in the first quarter. Wants more, but 2 straight incompletions trying to find Edwards.
When you think about this offense, you come into a game like this, Taylor, and you say, all right, we want to get the ground game running. This is a team that we should be able to push around. Offensive lines really played well the last few weeks. They've sort of come into their own. I feel like the left side's played great all year, but you've been hot in the air. Why not go out and throw the football?
Doing it 3 straight times here. And it's a completion to Edwards. Try, and try again. First down.
So 9 pass plays to 7 runs. Staying close to 50-50 there, but this rain is not going to keep them from being pass heavy because it's where they see the advantages right now.
Gamecocks put up 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Deebo Samuel and Brian Edwards getting in the action on what is a makeup game from the Marshall cancellation earlier this season. And it's a Gamecocks lead going to the second. Akron possessed the football for most of the first quarter, but the Gamecocks did most of the scoring. And they're on the march again against Terry Bowden and the Akron Zips, as they have a 1st and 10 at their own 48-yard line. Akron's supposed to play Nebraska to start the year. Marshall was supposed to be here on September 15th. Neither of those games happened, so that's why we're here today, and a pass interference penalty might be coming here. Bentley also took a shot.
Pass interference. Defense, number 4. 10-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
It's on Kyron Brown.
Well, you talk about a waste of a flag there. Jamal Davis comes off the edge, gets a hit on Jake Bentley, forces an errant pass. Now you see the pressure from the right side. And then top of the right screen, you can see the pass interference. Just grabs that jersey, grabs almost horse collar there.
Gamecocks now at the Zips 37. Bentley pumps, somehow lose the sack, takes off, and slides down at the 31-yard line. He wanted a late hit, too.
And you'll usually get it. Quarterback goes down to protect himself. A lot of times the officials don't want him to get hit. You're giving yourself up there, so he's a protected player. Pressure's going to come from the left side. Again, Josh Ward, a nice inside move on Dennis Daly.
Gamecocks are trying to get that play off quickly, but the flag comes in.
False start. Offense. All 11 players were not set for a second prior to the snap. First down.
You know, that's one of the problems, Taylor, when you mix and match tempo. When you try to go fast and then you try to slow things down. and then you go fast to the line and then look. A lot of times you just don't get into a rhythm and don't have a true understanding of what that snap count's going to be and when the ball is going to be snapped.
Just the first penalty on the Gamecocks, who have played smart football in the 3 years Will Muschamp has been their head coach. Bentley too high for Deebo Samuel there.
I wonder if the pressure from Jamal Davis actually, and Ulysses Gilbert came off the edge as well, actually forced this ball to sail a little bit. And Jake Bentley talked to us yesterday about sometimes he doesn't plant on that front foot the way that he needs to. That to me didn't look mechanical. It almost looked as though he saw some of that pressure coming and wanted to try to get it just above the defenders to help get a completion.
Jake steps into that throw. It was a dangerous pass and almost caught by Keel Pollard. 4th down.
Very dangerous pass. Pockets there, but Jake Bentley does an excellent job keeping those eyes downfield, trying to extend the play, looking downfield, but one that he can't put into that much traffic.
Bentley started 6 of 6, was 1 of 5 on that drive.
I think the adjustment that you have seen from Akron is attacking off the edge. A couple play action balls, couple RPOs. Akron's decided to just go ahead and not really respect the run, but attack the quarterback instead.
Charlton is going to attempt his second punt after they let the play clock expire, try to give him more room here.
Got penalty. 4th down.
Coming up in just a moment, we're going to go through some of our favorite moments of the entire SEC season. All 3 of our SEC Network crews are being represented today. Don Davenport on the field, representing most of the people working this game. Cole Kubelik, part of our prime crew, and I've been with the V crew all year, so we'll get to some favorite moments as Charlton has a punt downed inside the 5-yard line. We'll start with those in just a moment when we come back. Yeah, sandstorm is better than a rainstorm. Let's talk about some of our favorite moments in 2018, starting with Don Davenport's.
This football team and this football program will not be forgotten. These seniors will not be forgotten. We talked about being relevant.
You're going bowling, Coach. Congrats.
We're going bowling. Anchordale, Commodore Nation.
Don, I know you do a popular talk show in Nashville. That was a moment I'm sure people in that great city loved.
No doubt. And you know what? You can't blame Coach Mason for dancing. That's the first time Vanderbilt has beat Tennessee 3 straight times since 1926. That's over 90 years. The only other coach to do that has his name on the side of a building at Vanderbilt. And also, Cole, you can probably hit on this a little bit. For Vanderbilt, it was a rough season. I think they faced some adversity. There were probably 4 or 5 games they could have, should have, would have won. And I think that joyous reaction from Coach Mason was kind of a product of that, them being able to actually finish that game.
None sticks out more than playing for 4 quarters and having a chance to win late in South Bend, Indiana, against the number 3 team in the nation, Notre Dame.
Exactly. And you can put Missouri in there. You can put the Kentucky game in there. I mean, there are a couple there that they wish they could have had, and it would have been a completely different season. Not to mention, that's a senior quarterback that, you know, Coach Mason has relied heavily on in Kyle Shermer.
Good to get for Shermer to get that big victory against Tennessee in his final home game. That is a big hit that was levied by R.J. Roderick. The ball comes out. They say it's a live football, and now a flag comes in very late as Green picked up the ball after the catch was made for Akron up at the 35-yard line by Deshaun Brimage.
Big hit. You see R.J. Roderick again. An excellent throw by Nelson right over the middle of the field. Good pocket, accurate throw, and then just shoulder on shoulder as Roderick lowers the boom. Kept the helmet to the side of the body. There are 2 flags, but you begin to look
Ruling
for
on the field is a completed pass and a fumble recovered by the defense. A personal foul, targeting. Defense number 10. The previous play is under review.
You know, Taylor, I wondered if there would be one for taunting, as we saw Roderick stand over the receiver after the hit. The targeting will be reviewed. Obviously, catch going to be reviewed as well. Here, we'll take another look.
Well, as you said, he completely uses his shoulder, moves to the side of his body. It is a forcible blow to the head or neck area, but
ball is secure there. It's hard to tell. So you look here at, obviously, the targeting rule.
And in the most important part of the 15-yard penalty on the forcible blow is of a defenseless opponent.
And it's not to the head or neck area. This is one that you look at, Taylor, and you see where the ball carrier almost makes a move himself to force targeting. You see the helmet go down immediately. And the ball carrier crouches to the point where he almost forces it.
After review, there's no targeting on the play. South Carolina recovered the ball. First down at the 26-yard line.
And after looking at that, I think you said it properly, Cole, that it is a fumble. There is no targeting. For Roderick to move his body to the side, and this is not a defenseless opponent.
No, and you see the ball carrier actually goes low. I mean, that's going to be a hit to the rib cage if the ball carrier does not continue to sink after that ball's caught.
So Roderick forces the fumble. Sherrod Green recovers it, and now the Gamecocks again have a short field as they're at the Zips 24. Mondenson bulldozes his way down to the 23-yard line. The big 212-pound junior from LaGrange, Georgia, that's been in and out of the lineup battling a hamstring injury this season.
You see that jet motion from Deebo Samuel. Scored a touchdown on that earlier, had some success early in the game. So you're going to keep that home, force the defense to respect it, and hopefully that opens up that run game in between the tackles.
Go in motion again and again to Denson, who's got a hole, and he's tripped up just outside the 10-yard line by Zaire Jacobs. It's a pickup of 12.
Nice little counterplay here. You bring that motion across again and bring the H back across. Really just kind of split zone there. You don't pull anybody out in front of Denson. Nice play design there. Defense is going to run with that motion man, Deebo Samuel. Then you bring the H back across to take on the collapsing defender from the backside. Excellent play design.
Rico Dowdle now in the game. Gets nothing. Brennan Williams, the defensive tackle there.
I tell you, Jamal Davis has been all over the place for this Akron defense. Coming off the edge, he's flying in, disrupting plays. We've seen him in pass pro a few times. He's really been a nice force for this Akron defense so far.
Wearing number 1 today is Alvin Davis, of course, but Jamal Davis as well has been a fixture. Bentley, end zone, picked off. That is Denzel Butler that picks it off. And Bentley throws his first pick of the day. 10:54 to go in the second quarter, and Jake Bentley turns it back over to the Zips. Gamecocks up 14-3 in the last game of the regular season.
Jake Bentley was emoji flame early in this game, starting 6 for 6. 1 for 6 since with this interception. We'll take another look. A little bit of pressure in the pocket is going to force him to step up, but this is just a bad throw. Leaves it inside. Trying to go with the out route. Casey Crosby there on the route. Didn't get enough separation early, and Bentley just leaves that inside. Have to pull him all the way to the sideline on that throw, Taylor.
Butler with his first interception of the season, second in his career. Akron trying to get out of a spot of bother, if you will, and Suggs flashes forward for a few. It's second down.
Now, Akron's going to try to stay balanced, and I don't believe, and I don't know if they believe that they could come in and just run the football on this South Carolina defense, but with this weather, I don't believe that you have the opportunity to continue to move the football by putting it in the air 80–90% of the time.
Fake to Suggs over the top, and it's a complete ball to Quadarius Smith for a first down.
Every time I say that, Cato Nelson throws a strike, and he just puts it right in the belly of one of his receivers. So maybe their best option is to go out here and just air it out. Cato Nelson's just been impressive. In this weather, ball wet, cooler afternoon, he has not had many bad throws here early in this game.
You see his numbers after that 14-yard completion to Smith. And to the ground, and Sands, who bounces it outside, and is dinged at the 24-yard line by Rashad Fenton. R.J. Roderick, rather. Safety, the true freshman, with that hit.
It's a nice bounce because South Carolina has begun to add an extra defender to the box from the field. So you'll see this defender kind of add himself to the box on certain occasions to come help in run support. Now with single safety, obviously he can't leave. One safety back here, so you're going man across the board.
From the Gamecocks, they pick up the blitz, swing it out to Sands for no gain. Jay Brunson right there.
Travaris Robinson, the South Carolina defensive coordinator, talked to us about this yesterday, running through those blocks on the perimeter. That we can't just go up and take on blocks. We can't allow guys to come body us up. These young players have to understand how to run through those blocks out on the edge.
T-Rob, your old teammate with the Auburn Tigers.
I tell you, T-Rob, one of the best football players I've ever been around. Just wasn't exceptional at one thing, but he did more things well than anybody else on our team.
And he has an infectious personality, too. Nelson, facing the pressure, has to simply throw it away. Brad Johnson drives him to the ground.
This is just a miss in protection. I think when you watch right here, this could easily be picked up. As you see, the right guard just decides, Kyle Ritz, he's not going to pick anybody up. Now, you don't know if they slid that protection, what the assignments were, but they had the numbers to be able to pick that blitz up.
Gasser will punt it again to Brian Edwards. And he has trouble with the snap. Tries to fall on it in the end zone. Let's see who has possession of this football. It's either 2 or 7 for the Gamecocks. 6 points. Touchdown. And you won't believe who got it. There's a new way for Debo to score a touchdown.
High snap, but should have been handled. Maybe mistimed his jump a little bit. I'm going to tell you, you put a punter on a wet field battling for a football in the end zone, he ain't winning that one very much. I don't care if it's a receiver, a linebacker, a D lineman. Heads up play by Debo Samuel there to attack that football. And special teams, the area that Will Muschamp feels like will keep him on an NFL roster for a very long time.
Parker White to get that 7th point. And Deebo Samuel now has 29 career touchdowns. 15 receiving, 7 rushing, 4 kick returns, 2 passing, and now a fumble recovery for a touchdown in his final game. Well, Don was telling you about how Will Muschamp loves how this guy creates value for your team. I think that's the best example right there. Scoring 27 touchdowns, you include the 2 passing, that's 29 touchdowns that Deebo's been responsible for. One of the greatest careers in Gamecock history. The latest coming on a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Dawn had her favorite moment. Your turn, Cube Show.
Favorite moment had to be.
Cole, take it away.
Benny Snell, how do you feel right now?
Oh my gosh, I feel amazing. It's a great day every time I get to see you. Every time I talk to you, it's a great day. They got great guys on the D-line and linebackers. My O-line takes care of it, so they're amazing.
Fellas, thank you for the time.
Benny for Heisman. Hey, thank you. I appreciate you.
Tom, back to you.
Such a fun personality. Yeah, he's just both those guys. Josh Allen, great kid to be around and visit with. He'll be a first-round draft pick after this season. Came back to Kentucky, became the school's all-time sack leader. And Benny Snell is just such a fun guy to be around.
You are too, clearly, as MJ McGriff makes the catch. Now, I can't say that when we got to town that I went that crazy when I first saw you, but I was excited to see you.
It's always good to work with you. It's always good to be back in Columbia as well. It's obviously a place I spent a lot of time growing up and been to a lot of Carolina football games. So
South Carolina losing to Kentucky for the 5th straight time this year. They'll be here in Columbia next year. The Wildcats will. I know that that'll be a game that Gamecocks fans will circle, wanting to end that streak. Nelson wanted to get rid of it quickly, couldn't get a good grip on the ball, and it ends up being an incompletion, but a flag comes in.
Pass interference. Defense, number 10. Spot foul. Automatic first down.
Well, it wasn't Roderick. That would be Rashad Fenton. And as they do, they make the correction there, and they get Fenton for pass interference. Those are all the injuries that the Gamecocks are dealing with.
Unbelievable to see. And you have guys on that list that you were relying upon to be great players, guys who had already been great players, guys who added depth. Difficult to field a defense and do a lot of what you want to when that many guys are out.
Also with a deep drop underneath, Sherrod Green can't make the tackle, but Montac can. Back at the 39-yard line. Let's go down to Dawn.
Yeah, Taylor, Cole, you guys talking about this young defense, all these young guys that are getting reps out right now. Well, let me tell you what, this coaching staff is certainly earning their paycheck today. They are very active in between possessions, every single one of them. And then Robinson at each position group constantly during the game, just teaching these young guys, making adjustments. They seem to be happy with what they're getting out of them right now.
Getting good effort, and that has not been an issue for T-Rob the entire season. He told us that yesterday, told me to get on the field. The effort has been what they want.
Already their 5th tackle for loss on that last play. This one deflected as Michael Traylor Bennett could not make the catch. 3rd and 11.
Looked like Sherrod Green from his linebacker spot maybe got in front of that pass initially. Out of zip on that ball from Kato Nelson.
Here's T-Rob.
He's a guy that's going to be getting some head coaching chatter here in the next few years.
Certainly has that it factor about him. Great leader, infectious personality.
Watch the depth of this defensive tackle spot. Maybe some sort of game going on inside here.
Nelson under pressure. Somehow escapes, but is short of the first down as he runs out of gas at the 47-yard line. It's another missed tackle for the Gamecocks there, but it does force a 4th down.
The escapability of Cato Nelson, as you'll see, the twist was on the outside, a tackle in twist over on the left side of your screen, and just could not get Nelson to the ground. Not enough for a 1st down, but looks like Akron will send the punt team out regardless.
Yeah, it's 4th and 3, and Nelson and his buddies were trying to plead with Coach Bowden to go for it. Down 21-3, you're 4 and 7. Coach Bowden will try to flip the field again. And this ball out of bounds, and South Carolina starts at the 10. I got to give my favorite moment when we come back.
(21-3) at Willie B. Taking a look back at some of our favorite moments of the season. Taylor Zarzar, your favorite moment of 2018?
Mon looking that way.
Got it! It's Rogers! The Aggies win the game of the year in the Southeastern Conference.
Just surreal to witness that last Saturday night in College Station. 198 plays run, literally a third of them run in overtime in the highest scoring game in FBS history.
The amount of moments in that game, the individual moments that you could take away and would almost be inexplicable to somebody who didn't watch that football game. I can't even imagine what it was like to be there and call it. Had to be pretty cool for your crew.
It really was, and we were thankful to be there, and we're proud of the job that we did, and it was a special night in College Station. But to your point, I mean, an overturned play after Coach Ogeron gets splashed with Gatorade, a 4th down and 18 that's converted, the Courtney Davis catch on the last play of regulation that leads to all the craziness in 7 overtimes.
The interception that should have sealed the game. I mean, it just, a lot of bananas moments in that ball game.
Debo wanted one more moment right there as he had to step on a defensive back. 3rd and 8. Blitz picked up, and the pass complete to Jacob August, and August carries some defenders with him past the 30-yard line. 1 of 6 tight ends that's caught a pass this year for Carolina.
Well, a lot of tight ends have been involved, but the position overall has not been as involved as it was a year ago. And Hayden Hurst just getting going in Baltimore recently. He's off to the NFL, had an excellent season here in Columbia in 2017.
Jacob gets 19 yards, a local product. Now it's Rico Dowdle past midfield, staying on his feet, and out of bounds inside the 40.
On the carry. It's going to be another Carolina.
Quick hitter off the left side of that offensive line. You see split zone as, again, Jacob August involved, blocking back, allows Dowdle to get north and south.
Ties his longest run of the year, 30 yards. And they go back to him. 2nd down.
Talk about the left side of this offensive line. Dennis Daly has had a really good season. I think Zach Bailey is one of the better offensive linemen in this league, maybe in college football. And he's a guy, you think about what he's done for this program. He moved to tackle, played some right tackle, played some left tackle. He's back home where he needs to be at guard, in my opinion. He's going to get drafted. Had a heck of a career here in Columbia, and one of the fun guys to watch up front in this league.
Deshaun Fenwick is in the game. Fenwick, of course, went over 100 yards rushing against Chattanooga here 2 weeks ago, but no place to go that time. John Lako on the stop for Akron, 3rd down.
Boy, Lako's been active. Over 120 tackles on the season. He's a guy that's been extremely active this season. Sideline to sideline football player at the 2nd level.
Been all kinds of time. And it's caught inside the 20. Somehow over the defenders into the hands of Edwards. 1st down, Gamecocks.
Ooh, what a catch. Brian Edwards, that big frame going up high. Bentley moving out of the pocket. Edwards staying in bounds. Boy, what a job.
27 more. Flip to Debo again. Inside the 10. And the flag down.
Samuel on the carry. There's a flag on the play. John Leko on the stop for Akron.
Samuel marked down at the 4-yard line. This penalty evidently against Akron. He discusses his options with Will Muschamp.
Illegal substitution against the defense. 12 men in the formation. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So they do take the penalty instead of first and goal, or second and 2 rather, at the 4. It'll be first and goal from the 7. Make that first and 5 actually. Still can get a first down to the 2-yard line. Fenwick is ahead near the 5.
And this is one of the areas that South Carolina has sort of gotten away from the run. We mentioned earlier in the broadcast that at times this year they haven't been as dedicated to the ground game as you'd like them to see. Inside the 10, down inside the 5 is when they've sort of gotten a little creative and off script, throwing the football more than they've just been able to rely on being able to go between the tackles and be a north-south ground and pound football team. I'm going over the left side of my offensive line here. I'm following Daly and Bailey right into the end zone.
Straight ahead for Fenwick, and Lako's there to greet him again. Third down.
You see Lako, a guy that's over 120 tackles on the season, very active. 6 tackles today already.
3rd and 3 at the 5.
Now your playbook has to expand here a little bit more on 3rd and 3 near the goal line, Taylor.
Some rain really is coming down at the moment. Bentley, middle of the field to Samuel. He's got 3 of them in the first half.
How about the touch on this pass from Jake Bentley? It's almost like the Ephus pitch from Jake Bentley. Watch him sift to his right just a little bit. That's a very difficult throw. To be able to just soft toss that ball into the end zone with that accuracy, that is not an easy throw from Jake Bentley. Very impressive.
He was 3 of 3 on 3rd down on that drive as the Gamecocks lead now 28-3.
Back foot just pulls the string on that thing and allows Deebo Samuel to go get it. Oh, wow. That's an ankle breaker. Ankle breaker.
Some have looked at this as the Marshall makeup game or the Akron game. How about the celebration of Samuel? That's what today is. 3 more touchdowns for a guy that's had such a terrific career. One of the hardest moments in this stadium in recent memory was last year, and that injury against Kentucky right after he took one to the house. For him to come back and play at an even higher level this season has been one of the fun stories to follow in the SEC.
I can tell you, I was on the sideline that Kentucky game last year, and I was housed by the tunnel just waiting for him to come back out, because you could almost feel the entire fan base. They knew that game was close, that game was competitive. If they could just get number 1 back on the field, that might be the difference that would allow them to find a way to go win that football game. And he never came back out, and obviously didn't see him again that season. So it's good to see him go out this way on this field.
Coming up at halftime, you can watch the live performance of the South Carolina's Mighty Sound of the Southeast on SEC Network Plus. Start streaming now on the ESPN app. And I don't know about you. I mean, Samuel's always been an incredible specialist. Is another touchdown this season against Ole Miss in the kicking game. But he seems to be much a better receiver, a more complete player in his 5th year.
I agree. He's a better route runner. I think he understands angles in the passing game a little bit more this year, and that's just what time around your quarterback does and time in your system does.
Sands, big hit by Roderick up at the 30.
I love to see a running back not go out of bounds, but it looks like he may have paid for it there. Big blow.
Of course, he forced the fumble earlier in the game that was originally ruled targeting and overturned upstairs. And now Suggs just shy of the 35-yard line with just around 40 seconds left. Coming up at halftime, we'll give you a preview of Bama and Georgia, give you the plays of the year, and the highlights from the first half, featuring a whole lot of Deebo Samuel. And in the second half, we have even more awards, also known as the Cold as Ice Awards. Willing to sacrifice my love for your awards. You know, in fact, let's go ahead and look at one right now. This is the Wrecking Ball Award.
So 2 finalists, Derek Brown at Auburn, Quinn Williams. The Wrecking Ball Award goes to the guy that just blows up offensive game plans. And none did it better than these two in the SEC this season. Derek Brown doesn't have the stats that Quinn Williams does, but he was just as effective. Both of those guys just destroyed SEC offensive lines and SEC offensive game plans in 2018.
Okay, well, I'm going to wait to open the envelope until after this play on who the winner is. Let's watch this 3rd and 1 first that Nelson converts with 39 seconds left. The winner is?
Come on now.
Quinn Williams.
Derek Brown had a great year, but nobody in college football has had the kind of year that Quinn Williams has. Whether it's slide protection, rushing the passer from the inside, blowing up the LSU offensive line, whether it's playing the run, where it's going out wide against Auburn and rushing as a defensive end, Quinn Williams has been a consistent wrecking ball for SEC offenses in 2018.
Quinn unavailable to give an acceptance speech due to an SEC championship game appearance in Atlanta in a little bit. It's understandable absence.
It is, and we talked about it. That Georgia right guard position. Watch that one tonight, because Lamont Galliard is a guy that really struggled against Deron Payne in the championship game a year ago. Quinn Williams is a much quicker player, not as powerful, but that'll be a matchup to watch. His help from Kinley at left guard and whoever's playing right guard is going to be huge if Georgia's going to find a way to win that football game tonight in Atlanta.
I think we just sold the second half, because we've got plenty more of those awards to pass out after the break in what is the final play of the first half. South Carolina gets 3 touchdowns from Deebo Samuel, 1 on a fumble recovery. Bentley threw an additional touchdown pass, a 70-yarder to Brian Edwards, and give the Akron defense, or South Carolina, up with 2 open weeks because of that Marshall cancellation. And that's the same formula as 2019. Will Muschamp said we want to be playing on this same Saturday next year down the road in Atlanta.
When you take a look at that 2019 schedule, it doesn't look like it's going to be. It's not an easy path for them to be in Atlanta in 2019. We'll look at their schedule later in the broadcast, but a lot coming back. There are 2-3 guys, Taylor, who I think could be key additions if they decide to stay, that could really change the dynamic of this South Carolina football team going into 2019.
Well, they always play Georgia and Clemson, but they pick up Texas A&M and Alabama from the West next year. They play the Aggies as their cross-divisional opponent and have the Crimson Tide as well. So it's a lot of meat on that schedule in 2019. Cato Nelson, maybe the lone bright spot for the Zips in the first half.
Good accuracy. You see the slant hit right over the middle there. He's evaded the rush, made some nice throws down the field. Look at that traffic in the pocket, delivers a strike. I'm telling you, you put the Ohio film on from a week ago, and he delivered a lot of passes in very tight windows. He's done the same thing today. He's done a couple of nice plays with on the ground, eluding the rush. 7 of his last 11 targets he's hit in this game.
Only 3 points as he gets a handshake from Javon Kinlaw and also from Shamik Blackshear, so he's gained their respect. As they dry off the football and get ready for the second half. Over in Arlington, Texas leads Oklahoma 14-13. That game still in the first half. This one on the start of the second half is another sack. That is 3 sacks now today, and this one goes to Kobe Smith. Brad Johnson in there too.
It's that valuable interior pass rush. Watch the left side of your screen. And that's just working. That's continuous effort, understanding that it's not there initially, and then bouncing back outside to make a play.
Well, you mentioned Georgia's last in the SEC in sacks. South Carolina actually was coming into the game, but that's because they only had played 11. And now they have gone past Georgia for 13th in the SEC. So they've had trouble getting to the quarterback too this year. As Jeremiah Knight makes the catch back at the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Stephen Montack on the coverage there. One of the few seniors that's going to play on that defense for South Carolina today. Just sits down on that coverage and gives up something underneath.
7th different receiver that Nelson has hit. And he's going down for a 4th time. Kinlaw wrestles him down.
Brings up 4th down.
That is a season high in sacks for the Gamecocks with 4.
There you see Javon Kinlaw right here. Watch him use the outside move. Boom. Tackle in, twist. Nice penetration off the right side by Shamik Blackshear. Watch Blackshear go inside, occupies 2 offensive linemen. That allows Kinlaw to run free.
Kinlaw gave up pizza and Chinese food, but refuses to give up chicken supreme boxes. He did lose 40 pounds. It's a big reason why we're seeing that great speed that he possesses. Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, it's Thinking Out Loud with Greg McElroy, Marcus Spears, and sometimes the entire Kublik family. They'll talk football and want your participation via social media throughout the show. It's also available streaming live on the ESPN app.
And if you want to make Marcus Spears feel bad, just throw your kids up there and tell them that he ruined their Christmas. That'll ruin his day. How else am I going to battle back from him knocking me down on stage of SEC Nation? I didn't have a choice.
Those puppets a few weeks ago were a viral sensation. Rico Dowdle into Akron territory.
South Carolina's done a nice job of mixing the run game, all the edge pressure that Akron has shown, and then they'll mix up an inside run occasionally.
Dowdle's ahead to the 45. Did that Spears hit really hurt?
Yes, absolutely. He's a big dude. He played defensive end. He knows how to strike. I wasn't expecting it. It's my fault for not being prepared. But, yeah, that put me out of commission for a couple days. Not good.
On a 3rd and 4, Bentley scampers out of trouble for a moment and then just tosses it over to the sideline. Now, it did get past the 50-yard line, but not back to the original line of scrimmage, and a flag does come in.
Intentional grounding. Offense, number 19. Ball did not reach the line of scrimmage. Loss of down, the spot on the foul. 4th down.
I think what Jake Bentley's probably arguing is, hey, I'm getting pulled down there. I don't have any control where that football goes. But the rule is the rule. Ball has to get past the original line of scrimmage. He obviously is outside of the pocket. There you see the pressure come from the outside and Bentley getting pulled down.
And Jamal Davis the one that ultimately brought him to the ground. And this ball is muffed, at least initially, but Jeremiah Knight jumps on it. Gamecocks all over the Zips today. Another happy day for the Gamecocks, up 28-3. All right, let's continue on with the Cole as Ice winner. How about the Muscle Award? Oh, I saw Not Willing to Sacrifice flash on the screen there very quickly. I like that. Here are your two finalists.
The muscle usually doesn't get a lot of credit, and the muscle are the guys that do a lot of the dirty work. So Logan Stenberg at Kentucky is a guy that pushes you around. He's very physical. He's mean, plays with an attitude. Chandler Cox, same way. He gets out on the edge and blows up defensive backs. He was the most physical player on Auburn's football team, in my opinion, this year.
Bubble screen incomplete. And the winner is Chandler Cox from Auburn.
Tough call for me, because obviously I love the offensive lineman. Stenberg deserves a lot of credit, but Chandler Cox, you see him a rushing touchdown. He didn't touch the football very often, but the dirty work that he did in protection, in the run game, out on the edge, on screens, Chandler Cox was a vital part of what Auburn was capable of doing this fall.
Suggs gets a couple of yards, and here's a little more on the senior fullback.
A physical player, and you go start 41 games, and like I said, the things that he's asked to do, close to the line of scrimmage, they've lined him up at quarterback and snapped him the football, asked him to throw the football, he catches the ball, he lines up out wide, he lines up at tight end in the backfield. He has been the ultimate utility player for Auburn.
It's a 3rd and 8 for Akron after Nelson kept that himself on the last play. Their average starting position today has been the 18-yard line. This is their 4th start inside the 20. Waits to the last second, and this is batted away. Sherrod Green got a hand in, and Montauk does the helicopter there on the field as he almost picked it off.
Big push inside. South Carolina decides to bring a blitz. We hadn't seen too much pressure from Travaris Robinson, the Gamecock defensive coordinator today. You see right in the middle of your screen, a little extra pressure. Forces the errant pass and almost comes up with an interception.
South Carolina's average field position has been the 50. Could have good field position again here, as this one is off the side of the foot of Gasser and goes out of bounds. Marked dead at the 48. Gamecocks coming back on offense.
First and 10 at the 48 for the Gamecocks.
Last week, Jake Bentley, the first ever to throw for more than 500 yards in a game for a South Carolina Gamecock quarterback, as he threw 5 touchdown passes over at Clemson in the loss to the Tigers. Steve Tannehill did have the record with 473 against Mississippi State back in 1995. And he said, look, we lost the game again. So years from now, maybe I'll really let it settle in and be proud of all the numbers that we put up last week. But at the moment, just disappointed that the Clemson Tigers beat him again. 3 touchdown passes today, this time to the ground. And Dowdle riding defenders, but fumbles the football at the 35-yard line. Zaire Jacobs forced it. And it's Akron's ball.
Wow, it looks like Jacobs was just riding him for a good 8-10 yards. We have a split zone play again. Nice cut. And here's Jacobs. And he's not trying to make the tackle. He is going after the football, and he's going to get the football out. Excellent job getting both hands on that football, and then just, you get one hand on the point of that ball, Taylor, you can see his left hand goes right to the point of that football. There's a good chance you're going to be able to get it out, and that's what Jacobs was able to do.
Brock Boxon recovered it. And he is down at the moment. We'll take a break too and be back in just a moment. Brock Boxon helped off the field as South Carolina leads Akron 28-3. The new Cindy and Kenneth Long Family Football Operations Center here in Columbia will be open next month, costing $50 million, 110,000 square foot building. Has everything: movie theater, barber shop, 2-story weight room, nutrition center as well. See the weight room there. Lobby features Gamecock Bowl trophies and George Rogers Heisman Trophy as well. Just across from Bluff Road, right outside of Williams-Brice Stadium. And Will Muschamp is counting the hours until he gets to go in there. Nelson lobs one down there for Jonah Morris, and that's a catch.
Jonah Morris on the reception.
Wow, what a throw, what a catch. And this is where I think Nelson separates himself. A lot of guys can drill it across the middle and be able to find a slant route, but the touch on the deep balls that he fits into short windows. You see Nixon there, not necessarily in phase, which tells you he needs to locate the football and does so just a little bit late.
They want to take another look, but 26 yards once it's confirmed.
Morris, still kind of struggling. I think he maybe landed on the football awkwardly there. A tough grab.
Transfer from Indiana. 26 catches on the season. That facility's a big deal, I know, right next door for South Carolina.
You think about from a recruiting standpoint, just to centrally hub all of football. You have Will Muschamp's offices on one side of the stadium here.
Suggs to the ground up to the 39.
And then on the opposite end of the stadium is where all the meeting rooms are, where the locker rooms are, the weight room is. So to be able to get everybody under one roof, I think is going to be huge for the continuity of this football team moving forward.
Dawn, I know you have more on that.
Yeah, it's actually going to be huge for the relationships Coach Muschamp has with his players. That's what he pointed out to us, because he talked about how important they are. He said right now, since they're not centrally located, you know, his players don't just pop in and say hi and chat with him. He said once they get in this building, that's really going to be huge for him. And he can establish those relationships a little bit more. By the way, January 7th is the big day, and he immediately told us when we asked about the facility. It's January 7th. I'm there every Friday checking on it.
Right now, he's concerned about another Gamecocks injury, Keyshawn Nixon. And we'll check on him in just a moment and be right back. Keyshawn Nixon in the tent right now. Did walk off under his own power after this play. Boy, the South Carolina secondary has just been gashed by injuries.
That's not the spot that they can afford to lose somebody. They're already moving safeties around. We came into this game with 6 healthy defensive backs total.
5 guys today not dressing: Nick Harvey, JT eBay, Jalen Dickerson, Jam Williams, and JC Horn after a terrific true freshman season. It's a 3rd and 4 for Akron. Have to get to the Gamecocks 29, and that's a catch at the 25. Michael Traylor Bennett can get up and run if he gets to the next level, but he's marked down there, first down.
Big possession here for Akron. You've been down in this part of the field a few times today. You want to try to punch one in for a score.
Wilson's 11 of his last 15. Akron yet to get to the red area today. And he can't do it here. He tried to thread the needle tonight, but Knight was double covered. McQuamu with the deflection.
McQuamu was the 3rd corner coming into this game, playing safety. Really, first time he's played safety, and getting some valuable reps to help his teammate there out now. Nice play.
Zip scoring a first quarter field goal, but have been shut out since. It's an end zone throw, incomplete. Montauk stride for stride with Quadarius Smith.
One thing I talked to Travis Robinson, the South Carolina defensive coordinator, about was understanding the angles when the ball is in the air, how to approach the target instead of attacking the football. That's an excellent job there by Montauk of knowing the football is in the air and running to the target as opposed to running to where the football is going to be, an easy way to go prevent a reception.
Just 3 for 10 overall on this down. Taking pressure is Nelson. Incomplete. Had to force a quick throw there. So it's another pressure, this time by Ernest Jones.
Watch it right up the middle of your screen. Ernest Jones just going to come on a blitz. Nobody's there to pick him up. They slide the protection. And that's what allows that backside A gap right in between the center and the guard to open up, and Jones gets a big hit.
Zips going for it on 4th down. Not had a whole lot of success all year. Gamecocks coming after him again, and he throws behind his intended target, Smith. Turnover on downs.
Gamecocks take over on possession. So the 1st and 10 for Carolina. Started at the 25-yard line.
And so with this change in possession, let's give away some more Cole as Ice awards. Let the festivities continue.
Shout out to Baby Q, my daughter Kit. Her favorite member of the Paw Patrol is Tracker. So we'll give away our Tracker of the Year in the SEC, who's basically the guy who can track the football down. Dijon Harris leads the SEC in tackles, and I don't think anybody does it with more authority than LSU linebacker Devin White. When you're talking about arriving with bad intentions, number 40 for LSU is that guy.
Bentley. It's incomplete. And the winner is, no surprise, number 40 for LSU.
He's a throwback. Plays the game the way it's supposed to be played. He arrives and bad things happen to the offense. He understands how to dislodge the football. He understands how to take the football away. He is as active of a linebacker as you will see in college football.
One of the lost things about that 7 overtime game last week was he was terrific again throughout the entire game. And this is Mondenson breaking free. One man to beat, and he's tackled down near the 15-yard line. Alvin Davis prevented a touchdown.
Boy, a couple big blocks on the backside. This play is going to bounce to the outside. Watch this down block here. Allows for the cut outside, and then Denson just does the rest of the work on his own.
61 yards for Denson. Sets the Gamecocks up at the Akron 14-yard line. Mon is ahead near the 11 for a few more. Rico Dowdle, Tyson Williams, Mondenson, it was Deshaun Fenwick 2 weeks ago. A.J. Turner, who's playing defense today, has been the leading ground gainer several times this season for South Carolina. They've had 5 different guys that they have counted on to run the football for them in 2018.
Well, and you've had 5 different guys lead you in rushing the last 5 weeks as well. It just shows you how versatile they've had to be at that position.
The 3rd straight play, Denson. Lose yardage here.
Actually goes back to the last 6 games. 6 different rushers leading the team on the ground the last 6 games of this season. Now, some of there's some positive you can take away and say, we have multiple guys that can help us gain yards on the ground, but everybody wants a go-to back, right? Everybody wants to have that one guy that you just hand the football to that you know 3rd and 2, 2nd and 5, he's getting the football. He's getting the rock.
Bentley fakes, and he's almost picked off again. He is. Off the deflection, it's Darian Daly that got it. It was Alvin Davis who had was the first person to put his hands on it. Jake Bentley with 2 interceptions today.
Single safety look right here. And you'll see that Jake Bentley just believes that he's got this area of the field open. Safety jumps back inside, and Alvin Davis is going to get that tip, which leads to the interception from Darian Daly.
So Bentley now with 12 interceptions on the season. That's the third South Carolina turnover today. Nelson goes back to work and finds Smith for a first down. That would be the one bugaboo about Bentley, are the interceptions early in the season. That was an issue. Rectified that in the second half of the year until today's football game. There's some conversation on whether Jake would be back next year. He admitted it's unlikely that he forgoes his last year of eligibility. He says he's got a lot of work left to do with for himself and for his teammates. His Suggs is bottled up.
You ask him about guys like Brian Edwards. You begin that recruiting process now, and he said absolutely. He wants to talk to the guys that are going to have an option to go ahead and leave. He's going to lose Zach Bailey, who I think is one of the best offensive linemen in this league. He'll lose Daly at left tackle, so there will still be guys that are going to depart. Obviously, Deebo Samuel, who has created some explosive plays today, but with Jake Bentley returning, and if they can find a couple offensive linemen to fill in, if Brian Edwards is back, he's one of the key guys for me. I think Brian Edwards makes this a different team entering 2019 if he returns.
That ball deflected. And it'll be 3rd and 11. You know they're losing Samuel, and as you said, Edwards might have a decision to make. Casey Crosby, who's battled injuries all season, is gone at tight end. But that's a lot that Brian McClendon can work with if Bentley's his signal caller.
Well, especially from the specialty spots. And Dennis Wanham's done an excellent job on the right tackle spot since he's filled in a couple of weeks ago. So I would assume that he'll bump over to left and probably get the start there at least to see if he can hold that left tackle spot down.
Let's take a look at those offensive returners in 2019 at the skill positions. And again, this is assuming that Bentley and Edwards are both back next year.
Shi Smith's had a great year. He and Edwards gives you 2 big-time targets. And then also, you got plenty of tailback to get a start with. So I look at what this team could have in the backfield and out wide that will be a great starting point for Jake Bentley and company. The offensive line will be a bit of a concern.
And as for those offensive linemen, Hutcherson, who they raved about in August, had a great camp. Dylan Wanham, DJ's little brother, the true freshman, back for his sophomore season. Nelson wanted to throw, didn't like what he saw, and slides down at the 19. And J.J. Enigbari took a huge hit from one of his teammates. Damani Staley, I believe, that just about leveled Enigbari. Look at that. Oof.
That was helmet to helmet.
Yeah, if you get a penalty if you do that to the offense. So Nick Gasser with his 5th punt. Once again, South Carolina will have great field position as a fair catch is made at the 41. Wednesday at 7 Eastern, the next SEC Inside grants you an all-access pass to the SEC Championship game. You'll get never-before-seen footage and sounds from Alabama and Georgia. SEC Inside, presented by Bass Pro Shops, right here on the SEC Network and on the ESPN app. You just never know what's going to transpire in a game. Take last Saturday night in College Station, for example. But I kind of have this feeling, Cole, that Georgia may start out strong. Alabama's been a little slow starting the last few weeks. Wouldn't be surprised the Dogs had the lead in the first quarter or near halftime, but that lack of Georgia pass rush could be a problem against the Tide for 4 quarters. I'm going 41-24 Alabama today.
Wow, I like how you sold that for the first probably 4 or 5 sentences of your paragraph there, as the game's going to be competitive and be close, and then essentially you give us a blowout.
Second half, yeah.
I'm with you as to the extent of how that game will play out. I don't think Georgia has enough to be able to win that football game. I do think they move it, and I do think they score. I'm very intrigued to see how Mel Tucker wants to try and defend Tua, because they have some bodies on the back end that can be problematic. They just don't have enough up front. And I think the guys that they do have on the defensive line can play the run fairly well. So maybe he plays 5- and 6-man boxes and tries to mix up the coverages on the back end.
Underneath to Pollard, and again, it's a turnover for the Gamecocks, their 4th.
Obviously, the conditions have a little bit to do with this, but you have to credit some of these Akron defenders for going and attacking the football and ripping the football out. Just a nice little hook route there over the middle of the field. And it looks like Brian Bell just rips that thing out.
Zaire Jacobs recovers it, so it is a catch for Pollard, and then a fumble recovery for Akron.
Here's the thing, if you're the Akron offense, you got to find a way to put some of these in the end zone. Bottom line, you need to score points. The defense is giving you a few takeaways, must capitalize.
How about the game that Zaire Jacobs has had today? A forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 7 tackles. Nelson slings it down the field, incomplete in front of Brimage.
Boy, I tell you, Brimage had gotten behind the defense. Nelson had to get rid of this football quickly. There was pressure coming, but with a little bit more air, maybe finds a way to complete that pass.
Started raining about 9 a.m. this morning, and it has never stopped. Nelson takes another big hit. The ball is out, recovered by Suggs after he fumbled it. 3rd down.
That's a great play by Sherrod Green. More pressure coming from the South Carolina defensive line, but watch Green from the middle of your defense. Screen's being set up, and he reads it right off the bat and just attacks the ball carrier. Excellent job there by Sherrod Green, noticing screen early and attacking the football.
It's the 9th tackle for loss for the Gamecocks. Another timeout called. So Akron just has 1 timeout left. All right, and that gives us a chance to get back to Cold as Ice. Time for the Eraser Award.
So the Eraser really is the guy who erases mistakes, helps make their quarterback looks good. Not that Kyle Shermer and Jordan Teamu need a ton of help, and they're right a lot of times, but sometimes they're wrong. And you know what A.J. Brown and Kalijah Lipscomb do? They make them right more times than not. And also, they can take easy, high-percentage throws and turn those into explosive plays. So these two guys erase mistakes on a regular basis.
And the winner is A.J. Brown. Hotty toddy.
This guy's unbelievable. Just a physical freak. High points to the football. That actually ended up not being a catch. He can run past you. He can run over you. He makes one-handed catches. He takes screens and takes them to the house. A.J. Brown, unbelievable player.
3rd and 13. Nelson goes down again, and the ball is out, and it's picked up. No, a whistle before Ernest Jones can go off to the races.
But I tell you what, Javon Kinlaw was in the face of an official.
And that's not the first time either, Cole. It's been a couple of times where Kinlaw has been escorted to the sideline today.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense, number 3, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And Kinlaw just sees the official and goes and almost gets right in his face. You see him right here. And then he gets the flag, but that was a good 10-15 seconds into that verbal altercation before the flag was thrown.
That's Will Muschamp escorting him off the field.
You can't do it. You can't go argue with an official face to face and then point your finger in his face. You have to know better than that. And I know you probably they're holding you, maybe they're cutting, they're going low. You don't like the way things are happening in the trenches, but that's football, man. That's going to hurt the hand. The cooler's not taking much damage there. I can promise you that.
So the junior from Charleston, South Carolina, still a little upset. Meanwhile, Nelson was his knee down before he fumbled this ball.
That ball looks like it
might have been coming out.
That looked out to me.
Well, the interesting thing about this is Ernest Jones, he might have had a touchdown. But they did blow a whistle, which means that the Gamecocks would get the ball here. But again, Jones would have scored a touchdown had they not blown the whistle.
And that ball is out, so.
So again, they cannot give South Carolina a touchdown since a whistle was blown, but it should give the Gamecocks the ball.
Ball appeared to be out to me. Clear recovery by South Carolina, like you mentioned, with the whistle being blown. Not going to be able to be returned. I just think the spots that this Akron offense has been in, Taylor, they've had opportunities to take advantage of some turnovers, go down, move the football. You got a missed field goal. You've turned it over a few times. Just unable to capitalize.
After review, the ball was fumbled prior to the runner being down. South Carolina recovered the ball at the spot of the fumble. The 15-yard unsportsmanlike will be administered from that spot. That is the first unsportsmanlike for number 3 of South Carolina. First down, South Carolina.
So while Javon Kinlaw cools off, his Gamecock offense is back on the field at their own 47-yard line. You see the turnovers, 7 total turnovers in this game. It did lead to a 1 South Carolina touchdown, which was recovered in the end zone off of a muffed punt. This third quarter has not gone well for the Gamecocks offense. Led 28-3 at the break. Jake Bentley has thrown an interception, his second of the day. Gamecocks had a fumble on their last play. In fact, they've had 2 in this quarter. And this can't be controlled either. And because it's a forward pass to Josh Vann there, it'll be ruled incomplete.
And that's why coaches have gone to this, Taylor. They've gone to the push pass. So if you do bobble the handoff or the exchange, that it's going to be an incomplete pass.
Of course, instincts take over, and Bentley's not thinking that in the moment.
First saw this down at Troy when Larry Blakeney was the head coach about 8 or 9 years ago, and Corey Robinson was a quarterback, and they started running that push pass, and I asked why, and that was the reason, that to avoid fumbles and turnovers.
Ron Denson back to midfield. South Carolina does have 175 yards rushing in this game today. Denson is 5 away from 100. Jake steps into that one. And it's a good ball past the 40 to Josh Vann, the true freshman from Tucker, Georgia, with his 17th catch of the year.
A little pressure in his face as well. Able to kind of sidestep that, drops the arm angle a little bit to get rid of that football.
Denson's picked up after a gain of a couple. So South Carolina with a win today moves to 7-5 on the year. And as we said at the beginning of the broadcast, Cole, Will Muschamp, that'll be his 22nd win. And while there have been some ups and downs, no Gamecocks coach has ever won more than that in their first 3 years.
Yeah, pretty impressive what Will Muschamp has done.
Vann. He gets near the 35-yard line. It'll be third down there.
Especially where the program was. I think a lot of times people just think, well, you had a great head coach that you took over for, so things must have been in great shape. They weren't here in Columbia, and I think it was evident by the way that final season ended.
There's all kinds of time. Flag comes in.
Illegal substitution against the defense. 12 men on the field. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
We'll pass Coach Spurrier today, who was also 21-16 in his first 3 seasons. Muschamp getting one additional crack at it here, and then the bowl game to come later in the month. Big package, and it's a first down with Dowdle near the 27-yard line.
Boy, big push by the left side of this offensive line. Dennis Daly, Zach Bailey, a couple down blocks here, and that's going to really open it up. Watch 74 just collapse this line of scrimmage. And that opens it right up as Hutcherson pulls around.
Toss to Denson. He's down to the 22. And that's one thing that has been consistent with South Carolina all season. It's not possession by possession for a tailback. It's play by play.
Absolutely. And you have a lot of different faces, a lot of different body types, different skill sets that can help you out and do different things well.
On what should be the last play of the third quarter, Mon is down to the 18-yard line, and that is a new career high for Denson as he gets to 105 yards, but unfortunately an injury. Zach Bailey, the left guard that you've been raving about today, got rolled up on.
Well, that's one you hate to see. Guy that's been a valuable member of this football team for a very long time. He's had a great game here today as well. You see 78. Yeah, left leg just gets, ankle gets torqued and knee gets torqued a little bit. It's rough.
I know that's something that you lived for many years as an offensive lineman.
It's dangerous, and you know, this one from behind, obviously Zach Bailey's pulling out, so it's a gap scheme play. He's trying to get out in space and kick a defender out, and he's making his block, and somebody just rolls up on him from behind. The reason that these offensive linemen wear these big braces now is for hits just like this, that hopefully this ends up just being a tweak or a sprain and not something that really becomes catastrophic and maybe forces surgery or forces him to miss an extended period of time. So you hope this isn't as bad as it looks. But that's life in the trenches, man. It's a tough place to make a living. I cannot say enough how valuable this young man has been to this football team. He kicks out. He goes from right tackle to left tackle a couple of years ago after playing guard. Goes back down to guard this year. Started at a couple different spots. I had him as a first-team All-SEC guard 2 years ago at the end of the season. I thought he was the best left guard in the SEC. He knew the team needed him to kick out the tackle. He's not a natural tackle. He did it. No complaints.
And they do let those last 4 seconds tick off, and we'll pick up on that thought in just a moment as we go to the fourth. Gamecocks have a 28-3 in the season finale at home, and an unfortunate injury to one of their best players. Zach Bailey rolled up on there, as you see, his left leg. Senior from Somerville High School here in South Carolina, saluting the crowd as he is helped off the field for the final time.
Great football player. Done a lot of good things for the South Carolina football program.
Chandler Farrell will take his spot. He actually will play center, and Donnell Stanley will move over to left guard, and Mon Denson is right near the first down.
Mon Denson on the carry.
So the fourth quarter starting here in what is the final regular season game for the Gamecocks. Marshall game not happening on September the 15th, and this game being rescheduled. And South Carolina's 12th game of the season should provide its 7th win, a 9-win season last year. There were high hopes this year, Cole, that they could do something similar in 2018. But a lot of injuries were part of the story, and then also the turnovers. Last year they were plus 11 in turnovers. This year -3.
We had guys last year like Sky Moore that could take the football away. He was extremely good at it, and they just don't seem to have the same kind of guys this year. I think how much was made of that Georgia game week 2, and just how much was put into that game mentally and emotionally on a national scale. That was a difficult one to overcome. Not just losing that game, but losing it the way that they did. And when you're a young football player and you hear everybody talking about this is your season, this is for the East, this is for a trip to Atlanta, and then you lose it that way, that's a tough game to bounce back from.
So being short, that means South Carolina will have a chance to go for it for the 21st time in 2018.
New center in the game here, so getting the snap is critical.
And there's no place to go. How about that defensive line push from the Zips? Walter Brady, the first one to Mon Denson on a turnover on downs.
Penetration disrupts everything. Watch Brady right there in the middle of your screen, trying to block down and pull around. I'm not always a huge fan of the gap scheme runs in short yardage situations. I'd rather have all my guys coming off from north and south, try to get a little bit of movement and let my back find a space, put his head down, and just finish forward.
The entire Akron team came off of the sideline to congratulate them. They're losing 28-3. They're 4-7, yet still playing hard here in the fourth quarter. Bouncing off a defender is Suggs for a couple. This says a lot about Terry Bowden and the program that they would fight like this. Down 25 after the disappointing season that they've had.
We've gotten off to a good start. We mentioned the win against Northwestern early in the season. Cato Nelson goes down against Northern Illinois. That hurt a little bit. You lose your best offensive lineman, Brandon Council, who was playing some tackle for you early in the season. That one didn't help.
Quick pass. It's Knight making the catch. And it was fumbled, but out of bounds, so it'll be 3rd down. Zips program established in 1891. A little history for you here, my friend. Named the Zippers in 1926 after rubber boots manufactured by the B.F. Goodrich Company, which is based there in Akron, shortened to the Zips in 1950.
Can you give me a history lesson on the mascot? How they came to a kangaroo?
I don't have. You know, I was going to ask you that. I have no idea how you get from Zips to kangaroos, but it is kind of cool. 3rd and 5. Nelson kept his arm back there for a moment, waiting for Jonah Morris to get open, but he couldn't get him. Brad Johnson shoved Nelson to the ground. That is the 6th pressure for the Gamecocks today.
Nelson kind of double clutching there, uncertain of whether or not he should have gotten rid of that football, and that obviously allows the pressure to get to him and force the incomplete pass. I'm surprised we haven't seen this offense move Cato Nelson more. Move him out of the pocket, take advantage of his legs.
6th punt for Gasser, a chance for Edwards, and he is hit. Holds on to the football at the 37-yard line. Jamal Baggett after a 37-yard punt. When we return, we'll take a look at the 2019 schedule for the South Carolina Gamecocks as they put a bow on 2018, up 28-3. Great job by our entire crew today braving the elements, but a special shout out to Bob Schuster. There he is. He built a 10 in there today. Well done, Bob. Extra points for creativity. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I mean, it's perfect the way he designed this thing.
Bentley back to work. Incomplete to Josh Mann. 2019 schedule starts with the Tar Heels in Charlotte in the Belt kickoff game. Crimson Tide will be here 2 weeks later. They have, of course, Texas A&M on the schedule. It's late in the season, November 16th. Appalachian State's no slouch. They're playing for the Sun Belt title as we speak. And then, of course, Clemson finishes the season here at Williams-Brice Stadium. A lot of meat on that schedule.
That's a tough draw from the West, because if A&M gets Sternberger and Travion Williams back, that offense is going to be legit. Now, they lose a lot on the front 7, but I think Jimbo's got that thing going in the right direction. Elko did a great job with the defense this year. We know what Alabama's going to be. And they'll be #1 all next year, the entire offseason. I mean, I don't think anybody else challenging that. Clemson's got Trevor Lawrence coming back. They lose a lot of D linemen. That's a tough one. I do think the East overall takes a bit of a step back next season, and that could maybe benefit the Gamecocks.
Fan with a drop there.
You think the East is going to be better next year?
I don't. I think Florida is going to be better next year. Shocking that you would throw me under the bus like that.
Georgia might be a better football team next year than they are this year. They'll have a lot coming back on defense.
You know, speaking of that South Carolina-Alabama game, I'm going to make my man Steven Garcia happy, because I do remember a certain game in 2010 featuring Garcia and McElroy.
You're not making your man Greg McElroy very happy bringing that one up.
He had a great game that day, actually, if you look at his numbers. But Garcia and Alshon Jeffrey were phenomenal, beating the Crimson Tide in 2010. It's a nice return past the 40-yard line to the 46 by Jeremiah Knight. Gamecocks up 28-3. Will Muschamp takes a lot of pride in building a great defense. In 2018, he's had plenty of injuries to deal with. He does have all of these upperclassmen that are returning next year. J.C. Horns had a terrific true freshman season.
This is the big one, in my opinion, because they have to have bodies on the interior of this defense to do what they want to do. To be able to get stops in the run game, they're not going to overcommit and bring 8-9 guys in the box. It's not what they do. They need big, beefy, physical defensive tackles. And if Javon Kinlaw can learn to play with better leverage next year, he could be a first-round draft pick in the NFL.
the Zips to only 3 points today, and that one almost picked off. You see R.J. Roderick flashing once again. The true freshman from Summerville, South Carolina, has had a good day.
This defense has had a good day. 10 tackles for loss, 9 pass breakups, 5 sacks. And it's a makeshift group you've thrown out there. You've got guys that are moving to safety that have never played safety. Your numbers at corner are down. You don't have a lot of your playbook in.
Thought we might see a high-scoring game today, but has not materialized in part due to this weather. Keandre White
on the carry. Stephen Montague on the stop.
Here's what the Gamecocks have done on defense.
They've been in the backfield. And Javon Kinlaw's been a big part of it. We showed him earlier. But the rest of this defense has been good. 6 pressures.
Season high in sacks, too, with that 5th sack coming a couple of possessions ago. And White is short. It'll be 4th down.
White on the carry.
No question here. Terry Bowden and company going to go for this one. Keep White on the field, 4th and 1. I like the way White runs the football. He puts his head down, gets north and south.
They're 0 for 2 on 4th down today. Cato Nelson trying to extend this drive. And White, no sir. J.J. Inigbari, the first one to him. And Jason Sin helped wrap him up as well. White's physicality almost took the pile for a first down, but instead it's a turnover on downs, and South Carolina gets it back.
Good push up front. Ernest Jones was there as well. Couple different South Carolina defenders just bullying through that Akron offensive line.
One more look at the Gamecocks getting off the field. J.J. Inigbari and company doing the damage. South Carolina wants to be playing this time next year, albeit down the road in Atlanta, but making the most of this December 1st game against Akron with a 28-3 lead. Jake Bentley has gone the whole way, 13 of 24 for 181 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. And in stride, he finds his big tight end, Jacob August.
Well, that's a nice throw by Jake Bentley. Just a tempo, rhythm throw, understanding the coverage, and getting the football out. Nice pump fake. And it goes back to that touch again, kind of like the Deebo Samuel touchdown pass. Him to be able to sort of pull the string on that and control his ball velocity is very impressive.
18 yards for August, local product. Bentley wants the deep ball, and it's Edwards who can't make the catch, as he was covered up by Darian Daly.
Why not take a shot before you get out of here for the season? Let Brian Edwards try to go get one. You get the one-on-one coverage. I like the play call there. A little bit of contact there, but
and 2nd and 10. Vinson trying to get the edge. Nice open field tackle made by Josh Ward.
Coming from the opposite defensive end spot was Josh Ward. He had to run that thing down 10, 15 yards from behind the play. Excellent hustle.
3rd and 9 and the 30.
Jason Taylor-esque from Josh Ward.
So here you go. There's a zip. Now, how about that move that he made on that one play? Josh Ward and Jamal Davis are both in there. Jamal Davis, great move to the quarterback, and Ward finishing him off.
Just a nice inside swim move. He's working on the youngster, Dylan Wanham. And here's you're going to see the spin move inside right here from Josh Ward. Wanham gets those feet together a little bit too much, lunges, trying to win with the upper body. It's slide protection, Taylor, and one thing, when you slide that protection to one side, it's difficult to adjust and redirect back inside.
Charlton punting. And this was almost perfect. Down to the 2-yard line. 8:15 to go in the fourth quarter. All Gamecocks today. Right now I'm pumped. Ben Asbury, the long snapper, is about to get some love. So he's going all the way down the field. There he is. And he'll down this football at the 2-yard line. How about that?
Nice job not going into the end zone.
Transfer from Barry Junior College.
I love the celebration. It's like Vulcan there.
Good for him. It's a fourth time starting inside the own 10 for Akron. Charlton has 4 punts inside the 20 today. He's done his job. In a game that has not seen any points scored in the second half.
The game's kind of bogged down here in the second half a little bit. I thought, based on we saw Jake Bailey get off to a hot start, and obviously what we had seen Cato Nelson be capable of.
And this will be a first down run for Keandre White. Well, anytime a game bogs down, I think that's an opportunity for another Cole is Ice award. Don't you?
Let's go. I just want to see this little intro package that we have for it.
Willing to sacrifice. I just love that flashing on the screen.
The closer. Now, you guys all know Lee Smith, Mariano Rivera, Dennis Eckersley. A little different kind of closer here. Football players can close out games too. Cole Tracy, big game-winning kick against Auburn. Josh Allen, obviously a guy that has done some great things in fourth quarters of football games this year.
Incomplete. Winner of the Closer Award, gotta be Josh Allen.
You see the strip sack there against Drew Lock. This guy had a strip sack against Felipe Franks to end the game. He had a strip sack on Jake Bentley's final offensive snap of the game. He had a strip sack on Kyle Shermer's final offensive snap of the game against Vanderbilt. 2 strip sacks against Nick Fitzgerald in the second half of that football game. No defensive player in college football shuts their opponent down the way that Josh Allen at Kentucky did this season.
28.5 career sacks, a Kentucky record. And you consider this guy played his first 3 years of high school ball in Alabama, transferred or finished his high school career in New Jersey. Wanted to be recruited by Rutgers, couldn't get a scholarship offer. Ended up committing to Monmouth before a Kentucky coach offered him a scholarship.
And it worked out pretty well. This guy's he's going to be a first-round draft pick this year. His length and his flexibility are what NFL scouts and coaches really love about him. He has a high motor. He has been great in coverage this year as well. Something he doesn't. Not a lot of people talk about that he's very good at.
How about this Gamecock defense? J.J. Enigbari's right there again.
That's White on the carry.
Bill Muschamp yesterday said that he, along with Josh Belk and Rick Sandage, are going to be terrific as sophomores next year. Enigbari's been great as a freshman today.
You see just a little bit of a stunt inside, kind of a run stunt there where you ask your defensive lineman to jump gaps, and a little swim move from Enigbari frees him up in the backfield.
Edwards will watch that one go out of bounds as the Gamecocks get it back with 5:22 left in the game. The SEC Now team will be back at 7 Eastern tonight to recap the SEC Championship. Of all the highlights, analysis, and interviews for the showdown between Georgia and Alabama. You can also see it streaming live on the ESPN app. I think Jake Bentley put a bow on this one. Thought we might see Michael Scarnecchia today one more time. Scar, as they call him, started the Mizzou game and was outstanding that day, throwing 3 touchdowns and leading the game-winning drive. Mon Denson, career high in rushing, goes over 110 yards with that carry.
Denson's been nice today. Really shows you that he can be that guy that squares his shoulders up and gets north and south. And he really finishes runs well. Something that I've noticed from him today. He's done an excellent job.
Denson's to the 39. Seems like a perfect time to talk about some other guys that finish runs well. All right, last one. Cold as ice. Last award, the undercover agent.
Undercover agent meaning essentially underrated player. The guy that nobody really talks about, that does a lot of heavy lifting and doesn't get the publicity. Lamont Galliard is a guy at Georgia that's been doing it for 2 years now. Doesn't get a lot of discussion, and of course, I think Keyshawn Vaughn, one of the more underrated players in all college football based on the value to his football team.
Edwards says it bounce off of his numbers. Well, the winner's got to be Vaughn, right? Last 4 games of the season, he was terrific.
I'm kind of disappointed in myself for having 2 offensive linemen as finalists for these awards, and neither one of them won it. But Keyshawn Vaughn's that good. And he's a guy that has carried this Vanderbilt offense at times. He and Kyle Shermer have both been great this year, along with Kalija Lipscomb. But Vaughn is, when healthy, as dynamic of a runner as we have in this league. He's been exceptional in 2018, and just nobody talks about it.
Transfer from Illinois. And a fair catch made at the 23-yard line. For more on Vaughn, let's go down to Dawn.
Yeah, you guys talking about he sat out all of last year after transferring from Illinois. When I talked to him earlier this season, a couple weeks ago, he said it took him a few games to get his legs back under him and get used to the speed of the SEC game. Basically had to slow down his feet, if that makes sense. Had to learn patience. He also talked to me about how comfortable this staff makes him. They encourage him to be himself, haven't tried to change his personality. They let that shine through. So Keyshawn Vaughn feels like that's a big part of what is translating onto the field for him.
Helping Vandy become bowl eligible, one of 11 teams that will be playing in the postseason out of the Southeastern Conference, Gamecocks included. Again, ESPN projecting that South Carolina will head to Charlotte 4 Saturdays from this one against the Virginia Cavaliers. The announcement will be official tomorrow night. What a year for the SEC. We were talking earlier today, the Pac-12 is just in a miserable place right now. Only 7 teams made bowl games. Your champion has 3 losses. You win 10-3 last night. In stark contrast is what the SEC is doing nowadays. And 2018, as big of an example as ever.
And I think, too, Taylor, when you look at the league and certain teams, you look at how many more teams appear to be trending up than appear to be trending down. I mean, Derek Mason and Vanderbilt are trending up. Tennessee under Jeremy Pruitt is trending up. I know Missouri loses a lot, but I think Barry Odom's doing it the right way. Mississippi State and Joe Moorhead are going to lose a lot, but I think he has it figured out. They're trending up. LSU, people didn't think Coach O could get it done. They seem to be trending up. Georgia and Alabama are skyrocketing up. The majority of this league is trending in the right direction as well.
It's another 3rd down for Akron, 3 of 16 on this down today. On this 3rd and 9, it's White with a 1st down run up to his own 35-yard line.
First down. Brad Johnson on the tackle for the Gamecocks.
Just dragging defenders, 225 pounds, a big physical back.
First and 10 at the 35-yard line.
Akron beat Northwestern earlier this season. We're having an eye on what's going on with Oklahoma and Texas. This is free play here. as the Gamecocks were offsides. Or at least we thought, yes, there is a flag on Akron's side of the ball. Oklahoma leads Texas 30-27 right now in a close game at the 11+ minute mark of the fourth quarter. Iowa State barely beating Drake. How about that?
That was in a mud pit, that game. Ugly
Outside.
Conditions.
Defense.
UAB leading Middle Tennessee at halftime. They lost to the Blue Raiders last week. Hokies are bowl eligible for the 25th straight year. Appalachian State wins the first ever Sun Belt Championship game today. And up in Raleigh, NC State's going to be 9-3 as East Carolina fired their coach earlier this week.
I think there were some rumors swirling about Travaris Robinson maybe being mentioned for that ECU job.
Butch Jones also has some contacts there in Greenville, North Carolina. There's T-Rob. And then last night, congratulations to NIU. They won the MAC title. And Washington beats Utah 10-3 to win the Pac-12 championship. This is White. It's a first down run for the Zips to midfield.
White's not going out of bounds. You forget it. He's going to find contact when he has the football in his hand.
225-pound true freshman, and his teammates are going nuts on the sidelines.
Most backs going to take this thing straight to the sideline. Watch him turn north and south right here. Points him out. I'll take you on. I'll take you on. I love it.
Transferred in from Oregon State by way of St. Thomas Aquinas. Ernest Jones tackles him here.
It's kind of a dinosaur. You think about it in college football. The big running back, the Jerome Bettis, the Pooh Bear Williams. You know, think about all the big Michael Bush at Louisville. You don't really get those Brandon Jacobs, those big physical backs anymore. Where are they going?
Man, Jacobs was a beast.
Tubbs tried to put him at defensive end.
White again inside the 46-yard line.
White again on the carry.
Thanks to our great crew today, braving the elements. Dawn had quite the day with microphones and all kinds of wet weather down there. Fun to see what's going on in the SEC Championship, and then, of course, all of our post-game coverage tonight on SEC Network. There she is.
Hasn't stopped raining the entire game, guys. I think it started at, what, 9 a.m.? Has not let up. Got a little heavier at halftime. Hey, I will tell you this. It's actually kind of chilly down here. See a lot of the offensive guys hanging out by the heaters on the bench.
Well,
why is she calling out offensive guys?
She deserves a lot of credit.
I was going to say, you see a lot of the offensive linemen hanging out by the heaters there, Cole.
Yeah, because they've been doing all the hard work.
Oh, there you go.
Trying to keep those muscles loose.
Great job by Dawn and by everyone on this crew all season long. I know you guys will have some postseason assignments and are excited about that. And we'll see if the Zips want to run one more play here, or that's it. South Carolina beats Akron 28-3. Will Muschamp has won more football games in his first 3 seasons than any Gamecocks coach